On today's show, Acura is forced to stop selling its best-selling car, Uber is getting clobbered all over the world, and a national lab has figured out the cheapest way to store massive quantities of hydrogen. All that and more coming right up on Autoline Daily. This is Autoline Daily for December 10, 2014. Well, it's official. We got the finalists for the North American Car and Truck of the Year Awards. The truck and utility finalists are the Chevrolet Colorado, the Ford F-150, and the Lincoln MKC. The car finalists are the Ford Mustang, the Hyundai Genesis, and Volkswagen Golf. Wow, that gives the Ford Motor Company half the vehicles on the list. We'll learn who the winners are at the Detroit Auto Show in about a month, but I'm curious to know, out of these six, who would you Autoline viewers vote for and why? Well, here's something you don't want to hear as a dealer. Stop selling your best-selling car. That's what Acura is telling its dealers in the U.S. because the 9-speed automatic in the brand new TLX can let the car roll away even though it's in park. Honda developed that transmission with ZF. You know, if and when fuel cell cars ever catch on, the Sandia National Laboratory says salt caverns would be the ideal place to store massive amounts of hydrogen. That's because storing hydrogen above ground requires tanks, which would cost 3 to 5 times more than geologic storage. And above ground tanks can't even begin to match the amount of hydrogen gas that can be stored underground. The colors in this illustration show blue as the deepest part of a cavern and red the most shallow. Salt caverns are not very permeable, an important point because hydrogen has very small atoms that can leak out of other types of reservoirs. Still to come, Mercedes unveils a new crossover and Uber is getting its teeth kicked in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, your journey, our passion, and by Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com.
BMW is outselling Mercedes in the U.S., largely thanks to having more crossovers. So Mercedes just pulled the wraps off its GLE Coupe, which will compete with the BMW X6. While the silhouette is similar to the BMW, the GLE is distinctly a Mercedes. Power gets sent through a 9-speed automatic transmission with an optional 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. As for engines, we're only getting word of the AMG turbocharged V6 that puts out over 360 horsepower. Inside, you get a lot of soft-touch leather materials and the latest technology. But the main focus is the large infotainment screen controlled by an intuitive touchpad with rotary control. No word yet on when it will hit the showrooms. Uber is the highest valued tech startup in the U.S., but it's being threatened by legal problems all over the world. Just this week, the company was sued in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Portland. It's also been banned in Spain, Rio de Janeiro, and the Netherlands. And Uber cannot operate in New Delhi, India, because a driver has been accused of rape. The car-sharing service is running into trouble because it's violating local laws that protect taxi drivers. Uber says most of those regulations date back 60 years and need to be updated. Hey, be sure to tune in to Autoline After Hours tomorrow. Our guest will be Matt Davis, the head of all product marketing for Fiat in North America. And he'll be bringing the 500X into the studio with them. So all you Fiat fans, start thinking about questions you'd like to ask them. Here's our chance to learn more about Fiat's plans for North America. Speaking of comments and questions, coming up next, it's time for You Said It.
Here's another great thing about the all-around performance of our Dueler tires. A comfortable, quiet ride.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Now it's time for some of your feedback. C-Tech says, I do not have access to the numbers. I am curious whether JLR sales problems are with Jaguar or Rover. Well, it's both. Last month, Jaguar sales in the U.S. market were down nearly 10%. Land Rover plummeted more than 17%. In fact, every single vehicle in both brands' lineups were down, except for the F-Type. I don't know what's wrong with Land Rover because last month SUV sales were through the roof for just about everyone else. My editorial backing up Takata in fighting a national recall stirred up quite a bit of controversy. WineGeek says, "John, I cannot believe that you would defend Takata in any way. They knowingly built defective airbags and continued to manufacture them after they were aware of the problem. To say they should fight a recall to replace the product they knowingly built is unconscionable." But Barry says, "I think you're spot on describing Takata and their situation. My question to you is, will Takata survive this?" I don't know. I don't think they can financially survive this unless automakers or the Japanese government bail them out. You know, sometimes we make this industry out to be more complicated when simple solutions are staring us right in the face. Rum and Coke says, "Seems to me Scion is nothing but a creation of ad agencies looking to create a hipster-mobile. Does Scion even know what it's supposed to be? Rebadge the FRS as a Celica and forget the whole thing." I can hear the guys at Toyota saying, "Oh, why didn't we think of that?" And my editorial on how to save motor racing generated a ton of comments. Redav said, "One thing would be to fix the broadcast and announcing. How many replays of Ryan Hunter-Reay's amazing inside pass near the end of the Indy 500 did they show? Zero. How can you expect viewers to be interested in a sport that doesn't even show them the parts that are worth watching?" Amen to that, brother. That coverage was terrible. And you got to love what Balam Zass says. "Gee, maybe we could try loosening up the rules." Anybody who has ever raced or crewed old school knows the two prime rules of racing. 1, it ain't cheating till you get caught. 2, if everyone's doing it, it ain't cheating. You know, I like the idea of loosening up the rules too. And I really like getting all these comments and questions. Keep them coming. But that wraps up today's report. Please join us again tomorrow.